Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, the Netflix show that recently ended.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's good.
I don't know. I thought it was all fun.
Well, I thought it could have been improved with a few elements. Like, one, it could have been dealing with more of the social interactions of all the different princesses and their civilizations and stuff. Two, the castle could have been, I don't know, in space, in neutral territory between all the major powers.
I thought you were going to get there.
3, replace She-Ra with John Sheridan. And actually, you know what? While we're at it, just make it Babylon 5. Just make it Babylon 5. Because I am relentless!
My quick way of describing She-Ra is, for everyone who liked Steven Universe but wanted less towny episodes.
Yeah,
this is pretty much it. This is like, we're actually focusing on the fight the whole time. There's a war going on. We spend most of our time on it. But it's still a cartoon and has a lot of emotional elements to it.
LGBT themes.
LGBT themes everywhere. I love the pattern we're getting from, like, what was it? Spoilers for Avatar. But it was like, Korrasami comes in, like, the last couple seconds of the show. Right? And now we got to, okay, you can have that sort of reveal in the last couple episodes. Though granted, we had Garnet and Steven Universe for the longest time.
Okay, for anyone who says, oh, She-Ra was so progressive, you had a character who, in Steven Universe, who is the living anthropomorphic personification of lesbian romance. You do not get to say you're more progressive than the anthropomorphic personification of lesbian romance who can also see the future.
Yes.
Which, you know, makes it better.
Yeah, here we are in the future, and it's bright.
Nothing to fear. No
one
one
to
to fight.
fight.
Unlike the real world, where right now we're in the midst of 2020, where everything is on fire.
Oh my gosh. Our
so if
for all the people who suffer.
Yeah, so if I sound a little stressed right now, that's fucking why!
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways. Also,
because if we haven't mentioned that other stuff recently, it's not because we've been ignoring it, it's because I've been late in posting videos. In case you were wondering.
Yeah, so, anyway, the show starts with, there's 2 factions fighting a war for control of the planet of Etheria, which has more moons than something with a lot of moons.
Jupiter?
Okay, fine. I was going for something funnier, but okay, let's go with Jupiter. Has more moons than Jupiter, and apparently there's no stars in the sky because screw you. I don't know. Anyways, the 2 factions are the princesses and the Horde.
The princesses themselves being a bunch of sub-factions, honestly.
Yeah.
It takes a while to unite them.
Yeah, and one thing that did bug me about this is, if this is the Princess Alliance, why is it that only the princesses are fighting? We don't really see, like, any other people. It's just the princesses.
Yeah, like the princesses and Bo.
Yeah, the princesses and Bo, and, like, sometimes, like, 1 or 2 of the minor characters, but you don't see any soldiers or...
no, you don't have a regular army around here. Nope.
You think that the easiest way to defeat the rebellion would be, you know, just attack on multiple fronts so that they can only respond to one of them at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, why is it the rebellion?
Did they even call themselves the rebellion?
Yeah, they call themselves the rebellion. Well, here, I mean, the reason I ask that is because they're the rightful authority on the planet. If you want to get technical, the Horde is the rebellion, because they're fighting against the people who own the planet. The Rebel Alliance in Star Wars was rebelling against the government that had usurped control from the Republic.
Yeah.
So they actually were rebelling against something, but it's not really a rebellion if
I think, to some extent, Star Wars was such a big deal that the word rebellion has just come to mean a group of good guys fighting a bad guy.
But that's not what it is!
I know.
The rebellion's actual name was the Alliance to Restore the Republic. That was the official name.
Yep.
They're just called rebels because that's what they were doing.
Yep.
But, okay. Anyways, we focus on the stars of the show. Catra, a cat person, and Adora, who will eventually become She-Ra, and they're training in the Fright Zone to fight against princesses. Notably, they have no training against princes, queens, kings, dukes, earls, duchesses, or any other positions of nobility, or soldiers of any kind, so this means I could probably conquer the planet with a butter knife.
Yay.
No, seriously, it's only against princesses, and they all have evil smirks in the training hologram, and Okay, I get
And then we basically do that whole "Are we the baddies?" sketch from whoever those comedians were.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because it's like, you notice that our place is called the Fright Zone.
Okay.
And we are the evil horde, though honestly She-Ra doesn't call them that, or rather, Adora doesn't call them that until she realizes they're evil.
Yeah, so stuff happens, it establishes the relationship. They have a mother figure named Shadow Weaver, because of course they do. And Shadow Weaver is basically an abusive parent who dotes on Adora and hates Catra. And that's basically her character. One of the big themes of this whole show is not the LGBT stuff. It's abuse has consequences.
Yeah.
Which is a cool message. I mean...
And they went into the tortured emotional landscape of some villains, particularly Catra, which frankly they got into way more detail in that than, say, much as I love it, original trilogy Star Wars, in which you basically knew that Darth Vader had good in his heart because he was genetically related to our main character. You know, like it wasn't. You didn't realize the mechanics of it because you didn't spend enough time with him. This time we had 5 seasons.
Yeah. So, anyways, Adora and Catra decide, you know what, screw it, we're going to go out and screw around doing stuff. So they go out into this forest that's basically a haunted forest full of evil and monsters and magic and shit. Adora finds this magical sword of the first ones, and through shenanigans, defects from her side and joins the good guys, because turns out the sword makes her into She-Ra.
Also turns out her side is like assaulting this random village for no reason. So that's her crisis of conscience there.
Yeah, also it's one of the problems that the show admits it has, in that it's adapting a show from the 80s that was a children's cartoon and was not very sophisticated. So they basically lampshade the fact that their home base is the Fright Zone and their faction is the Horde.
Yeah.
So Catra basically goes, yes, of course we're the bad guys. Didn't you figure this out? How did you not figure this out?
She's just like, I don't care, I want power, and but she's truly hurt that Adora leaves, and Adora's hurt too, and they build on that for 5 seasons.
Yeah,
I'm not mad about it. It's kind of impressive they planned this out from the beginning.
It's good. I don't necessarily agree with some of the decisions they took from it. Namely the romantic decisions, but let's get to that when we get to it. So the show establishes itself as, okay, She-Ra, Adora, has like just a supporting cast of characters. First is a horse named Swiftwind, which doesn't show up until like pretty much the end of season 1. But she actually accidentally transforms a normal horse into something that a My Little Pony would think is too girly.
Yeah.
The Princess of Bright Moon, which is the good guy place, named Glimmer, who has mommy issues, and also her dad's dead because for some insane reason her dad fought the Horde instead of one of the other princesses.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think you could do, you know, if you're not a princess, you couldn't fight. This is definitely a girl power show. It means you have a whole rainbow of princesses of all temperaments and skin colors.
Yeah,
Normally, I'd say, okay, that's, you know what, fine, that's progressive. You shouldn't have it be all white people all the time.
Of course not.
On the other hand, the personalities they chose were all annoying, so...
What? I thought they were fine.
Okay, the most part they were fine, but just they could get on my nerves. More so than other types of personalities that I have seen. Let's see. So, Glimmer is stubborn.
Kind of reckless, but truly loyal to her friends. Gets into fights with her mom all the time because her mom's more cautious about things, and she's a little rebellious.
Also, her mom is a queen. Holy shit, I didn't think I'd see this in a girl power cartoon. Usually it's only princesses, ever.
Yes.
Just be glad it wasn't Disney. She'd be dead from the get-go.
Yeah.
But anyways, then there's Bo, who... My god, Bo, he could have been like one of the best characters if it wasn't for several things. One, he's a dork, which I don't really hold against him. I'm a dork. But two, he decides to go into battle with a big red target over his center of mass in a heart-shaped piece of armor and refuses to cover his abdomen for any reason.
Even in space.
I'm not kidding here. This is the dumbest thing. Look, I give females crap. I give women crap in like anime and stuff for wearing basically chainmail bikinis. This is dumber than that. Because at least, at bare minimum, women, I've kind of grown to expect that they're not going to be wearing Terminator armor. Bo is just wearing a tube top. Bo is wearing a fucking tube top and then running into battle with a bow and arrow. Why? Look, I'm not saying that you need to go into battle armed with enough armor and weapons to tank actual tanks, but actually, yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
It's helmets are hardly heroic, and in this case...
Fanfiction AU. Bo is Iron Man. Okay. Yes! Instead of Hawkeye, he's Iron Man.
Wow. Cool.
Anyways,
and his name is actually B-O-W, by the way. For the longest time, I thought it was just B-O. And it's like, no, literally, he's the guy with the bow, and his name is Bo.
Yeah, dude. Did he change his name? Is this like a My Little Pony thing where people's special talents are determined via psychic connection to what their future will hold?
I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, so most of the first season is them going around and getting into various adventures trying to recruit princesses into the Princess Alliance. Ranging from Perfuma, who is the flower child princess, who is super into everything will be great if we hold hands and have friendship and peace and harmony and our chakras are aligned. Yeah. And I really wish that wasn't a near exact quote
it's
from
near
her.
The exact, yeah.
Yeah, but she controls plants. Let's see. Then there's Mermista, who... Mermista, I wish I could like more. Like, I honestly wish I could. She controls water, and she has the personality of a valley girl, who is just so over everything. God, Dad, just let me go so I can text my friends. Ugh, this is the lamest show ever. And basically every scene is like that with her. So...
I mean, she gets some more detail as we go. Like, you wouldn't necessarily think of a Valley Girl as being big into mystery novels, for instance, and yet she is.
Right.
She is doing the vocal fry or something close to it voice the whole time. But, like, okay, that's her style of speaking.
Right.
That's fine with it.
I just find it kind of eerie. Then we meet the best princess, Entrapta.
Yeah. Trapped is the fun princess.
I mean, I will grant... She's like the gearhead princess, who, even though she's like our age, actually, so like late 20s, early 30s, she is super into mechanical stuff and builds robots in her spare time, but the only downside to her is that she seems to think the four main food groups are sugar, cocaine, 5-hour energy, and crystal meth.
Jeez.
Tell me I'm wrong!
But she's really fun. I really love the element of her prehensile hair.
Yeah, that was
she's constantly gesturing with. Like, that makes her so much more interesting just to watch in a scene.
Yes, she's fascinating to watch. Let's see. Then, near the end of the season, there's a there's a ball! Because of course there's a ball! It's a girl power show, so of course there's a fucking ball!
Yeah.
I don't know, you couldn't... I don't know.
We only had one.
Right, I know. Still, it's like, well, of course they have a ball!
Yeah.
Let's see. In the ball, they meet Princess Frosta, who is supposedly one of the most powerful princesses and has the most powerful nation. Of course, that fact of her having the most powerful nation never comes up again, because, again, no one but the princesses ever does anything in this show. And naturally, Frosta is a bratty 10-year-old who's trying to pretend like she's an adult. Okay, I have a question. Did they have no one who could have taken the throne as like a regent until she, I don't know, hit puberty, bare minimum? How about until she was finished with, middle school?
A, they don't have any other royals, as you noted earlier.
Okay, but someone
for mysterious reasons. B, though, she's being tough because she has to be, but they did show her as being pretty competent in that role. So it's not like the whole kingdom was collapsing and nobody cared. Or something like that.
I'm just irritated at her because this is a thing that people keep insisting on doing, putting little kids in charge of situations that I wouldn't wish on most adults.
I'm thinking of Neon Genesis right there.
Okay, Neon Genesis. Dragon Prince had that one nation ruled by a kid.
Yeah.
Instead of, by a regent.
I know. I mean, I like the idea, though.
Okay, Toph I make the exception towards because Toph was awesome.
Yeah. So I think it more in that vein.
Let's see. But during the ball, basically Adora screws up and accidentally gets her group banished, and in the process gets Bo and Glimmer captured by the Horde, who snuck in. And Adora dances with Catra, who... Okay, there's another princess, but she's only sort of a princess at this point. Her name's Scorpia. She's another Force Commander in the Horde. And she's the other best princess in the whole show.
True. I said Entrapped was best. Scorpia's great up there, too.
Yeah, basically, imagine Okay, you know the song Giant Woman from Steven Universe?
Yeah.
Apply that to realistic proportions, give her crab claws and a scorpion tail. That's Scorpia.
And she's such a hugger. It is totally gay for Catra. And it's just adorable and kind of sad. And there's some character growth about that.
Yeah. She lists as one of her characteristics, and I give great hugs.
Yeah.
Mind you, this is in the Horde. The Horde is like a knockoff of the Sith Empire, where everyone's trying to backstab and murder everyone else. And she's genuinely one of the nicest characters in the whole show.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love Scorpia. She's just like a giant teddy bear.
Yeah, that was really
That could kill you, but still, teddy bear.
And then she gets to sing a song while being a spy. About being a spy, that I found.
I don't think that's how it works.
I'm a spy. While she's undercover.
Okay, so basically, while shit's going down, Adora gathers the princesses that have flocked to their cause and go and attack the Fright Zone in order to free Bo and Glimmer. And we get to meet some of Adora's old squad, including Kyle, a.k.a. what would happen if you put Charlie Brown into an action cartoon?
Yeah.
Answer, everyone hates him and he sucks.
Oh,
so basically no real difference.
No.
No, but seriously, they created Kyle specifically to subvert the thing of the everyman who suddenly becomes important. That's word of God on that one.
He remained an everyman. Alright.
So they managed to save Glimmer, but unfortunately they lose Entrapta, who they think is dead. Yeah. Except she's not dead, and Entrapta starts working for the Horde. Which, if you've ever seen the original one, was not a surprise. Entrapta was a bad guy, first and foremost, in the original show.
So I've been told. I've never seen the original show.
Same here.
Oh, you just looked it all up on TV tropes or something?
I absolutely did.
Okay.
Which leads to the first season finale. It turns out that there's these things called runestones, which channel all the magic of Etheria through them, and they're set in place by the ancestor race known as the First Ones. And if something happens to the runestones, the connection to the princesses is broken because princesses derive their magic from the runestones. So if the runestones' connection to the princesses is disrupted, then the princesses can't fight against the...
Also, the whole planet is massively artificial, or has whatever been injected essentially with artificial parts. And you're like, the planet's a cyborg, is what I'm saying, which I thought very interesting.
Yeah, apparently the creator's girlfriend suggested that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, good for her.
Yeah. Anyways, so the season comes to an end, and we're ready for the Battle of Bright Moon, where on one side we have the Horde tanks and missiles and bombs and gliders and more tanks and soldiers armed with deadly energy rifles and artillery led by Catra, who has spent this whole season proving that she's a competent badass. And on the other side, we have Bo and Glimmer, because all the guards and soldiers apparently are sitting in the back room with their thumbs up their asses.
Was there maybe a few of them that appeared on screen?
Nope.
Oh, really?
No, they absolutely did not. So, those guys who were ladies who were standing around with the spears who were supposed to protect the queen. Yeah, they're doing fuck all while there are literal armies outside.
Alright, we need to find a show.
Are you there for, blocking space? Do you just have to have these spears held by someone, and is that just your job?
Welcome to spear holding school.
God damn it, dude.
I guess we need to find a show with realistic military tactics at some point, though that would involve a lot more death.
Okay, I'm not saying, just realistic military tactics. I'm saying anything.
Yeah.
Even if it's just as dumb as the Clone Wars, two armies run at each other firing their guns at one another. At least there be two armies.
That's true.
And if you're in charge of a nation, why do you not have, soldiers? What kind of slipshod crap group resistance force are you running?
The kind that doesn't want to make the animators animate that many soldiers.
Either you suck or the Horde sucks so bad they can't defeat 8 people.
Yeah. I mean, superpowered people. It's more like the Avengers versus the Chitauri.
Okay, fine.
But
they have tanks!
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but in the end, She-Ra and the other princesses get together and they unleash, a rainbow of energy that, reinforces the rune stones and makes it so they, for some reason, can't repeat the process 20 minutes later.
Of charging the rune stones?
Of, trying to destroy the rune stone or whatever. Or focusing on a rune stone that's not where the princesses are or anything.
I have to go check how that worked. That was a while ago I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, wait. You think some of the army would be like, hey, wait a minute. If all the princesses are here, then the runestone in that village from the Flower Child, whose people were absolute pacifists, is totally unguarded and absolutely cannot resist us. Let's go blow that one up.
Yeah.
And that's all season 1, by the way.
Wow. That would happen.
And that's... and by the way, that's just me... That's me skipping over a lot of the subplots, like the Catra Shadow Weaver subplot. Or the plot where the Shadow Weaver tried to trick Adora into destroying the magic protections of the magic school of this universe.
Yeah. I can't keep track of all this. There's 5 seasons worth.
Can you pull up the Wikipedia page of the... Okay, off screen we just looked at the Wikipedia page of the magic of editing. You know nothing of this. Woo! Anyways, so season 2 isn't that big, but apparently stuff does happen. First off, we start getting exploration into the character of Hordak, who is the main bad guy for this part of the series. And he starts making friends with Princess Entrapta, who's now working for the Horde.
Which is practically the first time I've seen a villain make a friend with an ultimately good person. Yeah, I mean,
I've seen it once or twice before, but I can't remember where exactly. He starts explaining his backstory and stuff about how he was once part of something greater, a greater Horde, that this Horde is a pale shadow in comparison to, and that he was a general of Horde Prime, his true master. I have my thoughts on that later, but let's move on. Also, Light Hope is a character that I've neglected to mention. She's an AI in charge of this temple thing that's
It was built by the first ones, and she tells She-Ra all this stuff about how to be She-Ra.
Yeah, but she's like a different sort of mentor. And that she's almost a deconstruction of the mentor type character, because she does not care at all about Adora as a person, and only how she can become She-Ra and fix everything.
Yeah, she's one-track minded. She does develop a conscience right at the end, before she disappears, kind of forever.
Yeah. Let's see. Crap. Anyway, more stuff happens. God,
Well, do you want to go through all the events? Alright, so... Hordak, we mentioned, was a clone from Horde Prime, and his plan ends up being that he wants to create a portal that will, and also, previously, this whole planet got sealed in the pocket dimension.
Because of the previous She-Ra.
Yeah, named Mara. Did that we're eventually told that she was some sort of crazy person, evil person, whatever. Who knows why she would do such a thing. She abandoned her duties and all this. But, interestingly enough, that bit that she did, sealing us all away from the rest of the universe, is something that the bad guy wants to undo. A bit of a hint that maybe she was less evil than Light Hope portrays her as.
Yep.
So ultimately, we get that portal going, and Entrapta is at the last second going, oh, wait a minute, actually, this will, kill everyone. Never mind. But Catra goes ahead with it anyway, because Catra has a huge problem just, ever admitting that she's wrong about anything.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why... Remember this scene when we talk later, because it's going to be important. Anyways, creating a portal quite naturally does the most obvious thing in the universe. Traps everyone inside their own mental dimension of where everything is perfect and happy, but everything is slowly being deleted. Because what? Isn't that the first thing you expect a portal to do? Even a broken one?
Yeah.
No, okay, but yeah, essentially, Catra nearly dies, except she comes back in like half-corrupted form and tries to kill Adora and try to destroy all of space-time just to spite Adora. And this results in Glimmer's mom, Queen Angela, to die in order to save all of reality itself.
Yeah.
Again, I repeat, Catra was willing to destroy all things everywhere, erased, out of existence, non-existence. Thanos snap, but totality. Just to spite Adora. And killed a character who has been coming around to be Adora's mother figure. Just remember that later when I get to my analysis of why I think they made some mistakes in the show. But yeah, eventually that fails, and it's pretty clear that right now Adora is severing ties with Catra permanently, and she gives her a death glare that would make... I don't know, it's animation, so the death glares don't really work
that would
well.
make Transformers react. So the dull surprise thing.
Dull surprise! Dull surprise! Anyway, Glimmer becomes the new queen, and we're on to season 4. And because she's the new queen, it means that Glimmer can't just go off and run off and do whatever wacky adventures the team has to do this time. Meaning that she starts butting heads with Adora and with Bo and the other princesses over what needs to be done, because she can't just worry about herself. She has her kingdom to worry about. Although, given that no one else in this fucking kingdom does anything, that doesn't really matter, now does it? Mm-hmm. She could have gone off and done all this shit, and no one would have noticed.
Mm-hmm.
All of their guards are useless, by the way.
Yeah,
you want to know how useless they are? They capture Shadow Weaver during part of like season 3, and they have to lock her in a spare room because they don't have a dungeon for their castle. You've been at war for generations with the Horde, and you don't have a dungeon? How the hell have you people lasted this long?
Queen Angela like lampshades it a bit. She's like, "Well, we removed the pillows." Pause. Most of the pillows.
Dear God. Again, I could conquer this place.
Yeah.
Butter knife.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and we meet one of the other great characters. Double Trouble, who, despite the terrible name, is a non-binary character who loves acting.
Yeah.
And is a shapeshifter, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide to just fuck with everyone because they're being paid by Catra. And yes, I am making an effort to call them they.
Hey, yay, grammar.
We're
working
it's
on
a
it.
singular individual. They are not a they.
Only as of like 1600.
Okay. But it leads up to a pretty great episode where they do... Double Trouble pulls a "you are too late," a.k.a. 35 minutes ago for fans of Watchmen.
Yeah.
Because while the princesses are trying to figure out where the mole is, this was all a distraction, and Hordak and his forces managed to capture, what's her name? Mermista's home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Although I really do have to question her reaction and how she's reacting to the fact that all of her citizens might be enslaved and or being tortured, as well as her entire home burning to the ground, sinking into a hot tub and eating ice cream. Because that's the reaction of a mature person who's just found out that, your ancestral home is on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the portal failure was Catra framed... the hair girl Entrapta and sent her off to Beast Island earlier in some season or whatever. And Hordak is like devastated by this because Entrapta was like his really only friend.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, nice having the villain's got some layers to him that way.
Well, yeah.
Not just the layer with Entrapta, but also the layer of feeling inferior to Horde Prime and like really wanting his approval and all this stuff.
Let's see. So... Yeah, things are moving on until they hear about something called the Heart of Etheria Project, which is apparently a First One super weapon. And
the whole planet is a Death Star.
Yeah, essentially.
Which is
no,
cool.
it's not really a Death Star, it's a halo.
It was unclear to me just how many things could be killed in a single shot from this weapon. Because they kept referencing, like, we're endangering the whole universe. I'm like, the whole universe?
Yeah,
that's a lot of universe.
Yeah, that's kind of big. I mean, even the Halo rings had limited range.
It was
they
like
needed this
one galaxy.
They needed 7 to cover that.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's deeply out of proportion with the power level of everything else in this series and with what the first ones have otherwise done. Like, She-Ra, compared to this thing, is like not... is like a speck. Is not
It's like a Joltik... It's like a Pikachu. Okay, Pikachu's powerful, but compared to Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, which throws galaxies as shurikens.
Right. Now, granted, it is a whole planet that's doing this. I'm not truly upset about this. Like, maybe it blows up like 1 star or 10 star. The whole universe.
How about a single planet? Another planet. One other planet. Okay.
Yeah. There's also the idea of so Horde Prime wants to use this weapon to kill off all his enemies.
We're not in the next season.
Well, yet. Okay, well, they're gonna get to it.
But anyways, so Glimmer and Adora get into a fight. Adora's like, no, we absolutely cannot use this super weapon because we have no idea how to work it or what it does. So we should find out how. Meanwhile, Glimmer's like, let's activate it! We don't know what it does.
She's basically pulling the Boromir here. No, it is a gift. We will use this against the enemy.
Yeah, how did that work out for Boromir?
It did not work out well for Boromir.
So, Glimmer decides to enlist Scorpia's help, who defected from the Horde because Catra was being a dick.
Major props for Scorpia finally figuring that out.
Yeah. So they try to connect the Scorpia to the runestone in the Fright Zone, and Scorpia officially becomes a princess, though she always was one in our hearts. And that initiates the Heart of Etheria protocol, which balances Etheria. And whenever they spoke of balance of Etheria, you always assumed that the Horde was the problem. It was throwing Etheria out of balance. No, the Heart of Etheria protocol means all of the runestones need to be bonded to a princess, after which the weapon is ready to fire.
Yeah.
That's what it means by bringing balance to Etheria.
Oh, God.
Although I do have a question about this scene. We only see 5 runestones across the entire planet, and we know there's more princesses than that. And earlier they said you need to get the princesses together to work together to balance Etheria, and they showed way more than 5. So
when we're talking about the Light Hope show, way more than 5?
Light Hope showed way more than 5.
Yeah, my best guess there is that the runestones denote princesses of power specifically, and other princesses are superpowered, but not runestone superpowered.
Okay, quick aside here, but like if you were transported into this universe and you could take one fictional ability, like any fictional ability at all, which would you take? It could be like Tony Stark's engineering skills. It could be the Omnitrix from Ben 10. It could be ability to transform into a jet, like Transformers.
Wow.
It can be more than that, not just those 3 specifically, even though each one of those is like a game-breaking power in and of themselves.
Yeah.
Like any power you want.
I'll take Earthbending. Play it tough.
Ooh, okay. I did not expect that. I was going to go Titan shifting from Attack on Titan.
Okay. Freak everyone out and make the show a lot darker.
Well, yeah. Mind you, I would also have it so that it doesn't come with a 10-year lifespan.
Yes, don't do that. That's bad for your health.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, But yeah, She-Ra manages to shatter the sword and stop the firing of the Heart of Etheria, but in the process, Etheria is brought back into the real world where, oh shit, here's Horde Prime! And that's where oh yeah, by the way, Hordak finally manages to meet his brother. Well, sort of. Because Horde Prime says, I'm disappointed in you, erases his mind, and basically bitch slaps him out of the way, while taking Catra and Glimmer prisoner.
Yeah?
Okay, that's a pretty effective way to show off the new villain. Let's see how they fuck it up in the next season. If they don't fuck it up, it's just...
He's just not as much of a change as you were wanting, because we talked a little before the recording.
Yeah, it's... When we see Horde Prime, the creators of the show said that they wanted him to be narcissism personified. That's why he uses all of these clones, why he talks like he's a god and a force of goodness. All of the rooms of the ship are designed like that of Christian cathedrals, meant to focus the attention onto one specific point, where he's standing. All of his clones talk about him as if he is the light and goodness.
Yeah, there's totally a cult he's got going there.
Yes. But the problem with Horde Prime is that I was underwhelmed by him. It's not that he's necessarily ineffective. Okay, he's a little ineffective, but because he has like a galaxy-spanning empire, and he can't swarm Etheria with numbers and just murder everyone from space or something? Okay, but let's leave that aside from the fact that probably wouldn't work in a kid's show. But then don't show wars of genocide and have him frequently mention that you've driven entire sapient races to extinction. But anyways, his mannerisms, I've seen a lot of the shticks he's pulled before, and the only thing that really made him more threatening than the regular Horde was... He pulls out a trick where he decides to put mind control chips on the back of people's necks, and it turns them into, mindless drones. Except that I've seen all of these character traits, again, portrayed better. I think the Borg have a much scarier way of being a hive mind. I think that Frieza was a much more terrifying, affably evil galactic conqueror.
But there's a lot less waiting around in this show than anything involving Frieza.
I could have used more waiting around for the last season. Yeah. But anyways, they decide to... Adora and Bo go off in Mara's spaceship. Okay, it turns out that Mara... I forgot to mention this because it didn't seem important at the time. Mara was a previous She-Ra, and she befriended Light Hope, and... said, no, I don't think we should use the Heart of Etheria to blow up this mysterious enemy that we're never told anything about, and because it'll, break Etheria and everyone will die, and it will suck the magic out of the planet, and it will be really bad. So Mara stops the Heart of Etheria from firing and seals Etheria into Spondos, this empty dimension.
Where is the sun?
That is another question I was thinking about on the way over.
I was just realizing, where is the sunlight coming from? I guess the Despondos involves at least one star.
Yeah, so where's the star? What's going on?
Anyway.
So, moving on. But they have Mara's ship now. Long story. And, oh yeah, by the way, the first one's reprogrammed Light Hope so that she was evil, so whatever. Anyway, Light Hope kind of dies. Whatever. They have Mara's ship, and they go out into space to randomly look for Glimmer with Entrapta's help, because Entrapta's a good guy again.
Yeah.
Because, I guess...
Because they helped get her off Beast Island, and Bo made this whole speech about friendship, and then She-Ra just goes, look, we don't have time for this. We came here in a First One ship. Do you want to see it? Oh, yes! And then Bo's like, so did my friendship speech make a difference? Well, really, I just want to see the ship, but also thanks.
Okay, that was a good... Oh, by the way, they found Glimmer's dad on it.
He's been alive this whole time. It was hinted at the mid-portal episode thing.
Yeah. Now, Glimmer's dad is another character I feel they really wasted the potential of. But let's move along, and I'll explain later if I remember. Because I've rewatched some of our old episodes, and I forget sometimes. Right. Anyways, so they go out into space, and they find Horde Prime's ship somehow. I don't remember how exactly. Whatever.
Maybe it's not cloaked or anything. I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyways, and then they bust out Glimmer, and... No. Okay. Catra has a change of heart and frees Glimmer and betrays Horde Prime, even though she was planning to, work alongside him and stuff.
Yeah.
So, finally, they get there, and they're there to rescue Catra because Adora, for some reason, insists that they do so. Despite the... Look, this is another thing in the relationships I don't think were thought completely through aspects.
Yeah, I have to review some of the detail of how that portal stuff worked, because you were harping on how she's, threatening all of reality. There are points to be considered about how much Catra was aware of how much dangerous this is, and how she's to the extent of her just being reckless versus really truly murderous. But even putting all that aside, she has been working for the Horde this whole time. But also, it's a weird thing where the Horde never seems to kill anybody because kids show. So, like, once you throw that mysterious war logic into it, in which we've really just been having, like, a wrestling match in the terms of the number of dead people, I don't know. I see you're getting at the easy redemption thing, though.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying easy redemption. Far from it.
Oh, yeah?
Because what happens is they get to the ship, they're like, Adora's like, I'm going to rescue Catra for reasons. Because I have a lady boner for her. Honestly, I do not get why she wants to rescue Catra. Catra can go plug a hole for all I care. But she does get redeemed in that she was horribly... Turns out that in between the previous episode where she teleported Glimmer away and the current one, she was horribly tortured, shaved bald, and oh yeah, she has a mind-controlled chip in the back of her neck. Mm-hmm. Oh, and she was drowned. I forgot to mention that. She was drowned. And then, so Adora is forced to fight against Catra, except she can't kill Catra, but she wants to save Catra, even though Catra's trying to kill her because she's under Horde Prime's control now, and eventually stuff happens and she frees Catra. Sort of. She fries the chip that's mind-controlling her. And then she summons the power of Grayskull the honor of Grayskull, and she turns back into She-Ra, which no one thought she could do because she shattered the She-Ra sword. And this is another thing that I think is a sign that they really rushed the last season and they didn't really explain a whole lot. Anyways.
Wait, what was the sign? I mean, that was played up in advance, though.
I'll get that. Alright. So then they have a cool episode where, Catra is like really bummed out by the fact that she was mind-controlled, and there's a whole thing of she's not willing to trust Entrapta with removing the mind-controlled ship from the back of her neck while the ship is shaking while it's under fire by Horde starships. Yeah. I mean, I will grant all of those are perfectly reasonable because Entrapta's machines have like a varying rate of success, and she's trying to remove something hooked up to her brain in the middle of a firefight that's rapidly shaking the ship. So imagine trying to play the game of Operation in the middle of an earthquake, and except that instead of making a funny buzzing sound, it's your brain being flash fried. And I kind of see where Catra's coming from in this specific instance. Mm. But apparently, She-Ra can breathe in space now, so she goes out, flies around, and destroys all of the Horde ships. Because I guess she can do that, I suppose.
She got, like, the, pure version of the She-Ra magic.
Right. Okay. We're going into this.
Yeah.
I did not understand why it was possible for her to summon the She-Ra stuff now. Why the She-Ra outfit looked different now, where the magical sword came from, and how this was different from the original She-Ra form.
So,
my question was, it seems to come from nowhere with not enough outspoken explanation.
I guess there could be more explanation, but Roz had said earlier, our resident crazy wise person, or rambly wise person, that if the sword were broken, you would still be She-Ra. And this whole thing is running on a magic tech bit. We're noticing that the planet apparently was magic the whole time, and the first ones came in and sort of channeled the magic into their technology, right? And built a Death Star and all this. So, if you channel the She-Ra magic into this first one's sword, it becomes the first one's version of She-Ra, which is capable of whatever the stuff they need her to do. And that stuff gets broken, but the general She-Ra magic predates the first ones ever showing up here, and Adora is still She-Ra for, like, genetic, mystical reasons or something. Yeah. And, having, like, basically just focused in the Force long enough, she can, like, reconnect to the original magic. And it's different because this is the original version and not the first one's, hey, we also redesigned your uniform while we're at it version.
Okay. That makes more sense than was ever explained in the show where it wasn't. But anyways, meanwhile, back on Etheria, we get to see what Frosta and Glimmer's dad King Micah, Frosta, Natasha, and Spinnerella are up to. Oh, you don't remember us mentioning Natasha and Spinnerella? Well, despite them being a canonical lesbian married couple, they got less screen time than Jar Jar Binks in episode 2 and 3.
They got more towards the end.
Okay, more towards the end, but the reason why I bring this up is they were heavily advertised. So it's literal queer baiting. They go to a village that they'd been to before, and it has great parties, except that everyone's been mind controlled now, and no one notices that everyone's acting like a smiling zombie until, like, they close the doors and everyone's eyes start glowing green. At which point they start to go, hey, wait a minute, something suspicious about this town. Basically, I don't think they would have noticed if they had walked in and it had been an actual Horde Prime ship with Horde Prime standing in the corner and waving to them. I'm pretty sure that everyone should have noticed that, hey, everyone's acting like a frickin' zombie.
They had an increasing levels of suspicion as the minutes wore on.
Okay,
it wasn't completely out of left field.
I'm not saying it was out of left field. I'm saying it was from left field with big pointing arrows pointing at it, and then slowly they started pointing more arrows, and they only noticed when the fireworks from left field started.
Okay.
Out of left field implies it came from nowhere. This was very obvious that something was wrong.
Right.
But, and they all get away. But it turns out that Spinnerella, who has a power of... Wind, I guess. Yeah.
Wait, am I mixing them up?
Yeah, Spinnerella was wind.
Wait, okay. Where's the other one?
Natasha.
Nets. Natasha, I get it.
Yeah, but in practice it works more like a Green Lantern ring, because she can make anything that's grid-based, including force fields and...
Yeah,
well, anyways. Turns out Spinnerella had, like, a mind-control chip planted on the back of her neck, and she chips the rest of the Resistance over the next couple episodes.
No, those Resistance people who did things.
And it turns out that Natasha is really sad about this, which would have been great if we had at all explored her character.
Yeah, I mean, we were exploring all this other stuff, but say, if there had been more episodes per season, then yeah.
Yeah, we had one episode that had them as, like, teammates before this. It was, like, in season 4.
Wow.
And it was them being competitive about who could blow up the most robots. I'm not saying, I need whole character arcs based around how they're, like, a lesbian couple or anything about them. It's just, it would be nice if we had seen more of them.
Yeah.
Any of them, really. Then we have Mermista, Scorpia, and Seahawk going to this mysterious underwater thing to rescue Prince Peekaboo. Because of course he's royalty. Why would he not be royalty in this frickin' show?
I think it was Pika Blue, wasn't it?
Pika Blue, of course it is. But it turns out it's just Double Trouble acting like a tool.
Yes. Did give us that fun song I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and Scorpius...
We haven't even mentioned Seahawk at all. There was a whole Seahawk thing in this
Yeah,
thing.
I prefer not to think of Seahawk.
He was fine.
He was fine.
He's over the top.
But he was a doofus.
Yeah, that's the whole
He
point.
sets his own... He has more enemies than the Princess Alliance does. And they're fighting a world-conquering alien empire. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? Like, okay, if you're Han Solo, sure. Sorry. If you're Han Solo, sure, fine, but God, this guy's a dork. Why does anyone let him in close enough to make him an enemy?
I don't know.
But anyways, it ends in a total catastrophe in that they rescue Double Trouble from what it turns out is apparently half of Etheria who's been mind-controlled. But also Princess Mermista and Princess Scorpia get mind-control chipped.
Dun, dun,
So you lost two of the most powerful people on the planet, but in exchange, you got a gender-fluid shapeshifter lizard man person. Good job! That is definitely a worthy sacrifice.
I mean, they didn't portray it as a worthy sacrifice. They knew it was a big mistake.
I know. I'm just mocking them because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so eventually, Perfuma sends out a message. Don't come back. There's a blockade of Horde ships around the planet, and also everyone's being mind controlled, and the Resistance is dead. don't come back. So naturally everyone on Mara's ship starts trying to come back. Because, of course, they do.
At least they take a detour.
Yeah, they take a detour to this planet where it's revealed that magic is the one thing that Horde Prime does not understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of mind controlling a whole bunch of wizards right now, because they have control of King Micah at this point, and Mysticor. You'd think that he would, like, spend some time in their library going, okay, so magic is da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, thank you, magical textbooks that we have at the greatest magical learning center in the universe.
Yeah, good question there.
Yeah, oh, by the way, King Micah is captured, and he's mind-controlled now.
No.
Which is theoretically bad.
He's bad. He fights well when he fights them.
Right. But again, this is a thing where I would have preferred a longer season. Because the way Micah had been built up, both by Shadow Weaver and by everyone else, was he was the greatest mage that Mysticor had produced in, like, the last couple generations. He was portrayed as, like, Gandalf, who was also Kung Fu Jesus.
Yeah.
And whenever we fight him, it's not that impressive comparatively. Look, the show is great at building stuff up, but the payoffs for the build-ups don't really fit well a bunch of times.
Yeah, I could see giving it more room to breathe would have been interesting. I'm sure, they had their executives, there's only so much in the budget, and they just did what they could, type of thing. I'm glad it got to a natural ending at all.
Same, but anyway, on the Magic Planet, they discover that Catra has a new best friend who is an alien shapeshifter who can make things invisible, and is the reason that Horde Prime left this planet. And then doesn't really do much for the rest of the series. He helps Catra in a few fights.
Well, it's doing stealth for them all the time.
Right, but considering that they were saying, oh, this guy is the reason that Horde Prime failed on this planet. I'm like, well, son of a bitch, get this guy on the front lines!
You're right, he was more auxiliary than game changer.
It's like This guy's like Captain America in Iron Man's armor with Hawkeye's accuracy and Black Widow's combat experience. Why are we not following this guy? Anyways, it's revealed that the chips are slowly bonding to the nervous systems of the hosts when they capture Spinnerella and Entrapta, removes her from the network or whatever.
Right.
And then it's revealed that Horde Prime has found a way to use the Heart of Etheria because he's completely lost his shit. His empire is in rebellion for some reason. In the name of She-Ra, because She-Ra met like a couple of space hobos.
Yeah, like those 3 people who were like mining the place, scavenging, whatever.
Yeah.
They were actually pretty cool character designs, but then, we didn't get to see much of them.
Yeah, we didn't get to see much of them, and they apparently have started a rebellion on over a dozen worlds in the name of She-Ra. A character they met for 12 seconds and saved their lives once.
That may be your best example yet of, if only we had more time to let this breathe.
Yeah.
Because you could have so many conversations of them going around, spreading the word, various subplots along the way. Horde Prime trying to stop them, getting distracted, the people rallying. Then they hear some message from She-Ra. They send it FTL speeds at some point,
Yeah. So, anyways, all of the good guys band together and they have to go to Mysticor in order to find the first one code that will turn off the Heart of Etheria program, the failsafe. And we start to get into another character problem with Adora. So basically, Adora for me feels like a pinball character.
Really?
Yeah. She seems to be far more reactive than she is proactive in a lot of cases. It's harder for me to think of scenes where Adora is like, this is what we must do of her own initiative. And not say in response to some other outside stimuli.
I guess it depends on how we classify stimuli. Because you mentioned earlier her argument with Glimmer. She was standing up and saying, no, we need to do this with the Heart of Etheria. She says, no, we need to do that. And they went their separate ways, and she had her own mission. She seems to be the default CO wherever they go, or at least halfway there. In terms of broader strategy, yeah, I guess there's a lot of, the Horde's up to this new stuff, whatever, how do we react to that? It didn't seem like a huge gap to me, though. She's generally taking charge, rushing into battle with a sword and stuff.
I don't know. That's just how I felt about Adora. She seemed more passive than...
She decided to save Catra from Horde's ship. That was definitely her call decision.
Okay, yeah. That's definitely a her call decision. But, like, by and large, I felt she was more passive. I can see counter arguments like what you're saying. It's just that that's how I feel when I watch her.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun, especially in the long run stuff, and being like, okay, what are our strategies? You know, what sort of thinking do you need to do as a apparently high-ranking military leader of even those 8 people in this military?
Yep. Anyways, but it turns out that the failsafe under Mysticor will kill whoever uses it, except for She-Ra, and Adora hasn't mastered turning into She-Ra yet, so she's boned. So she basically walks in despite Catra going, "No, don't do this, you fucking idiots!"
She had to do it, though, to save the world, so, you know.
Right, but it's... Anyway, Catra's been hanging around. She's been getting shit from everyone else, and...
Yes, people have been quite welcoming, actually. Like, you get a little bit of shit, and then it was like, remember, she sits with them on the ship, and they all kind of treat her as an equal after a moment of hesitation. Remember that?
Yeah, it's weird, though. It's... Anyways, so they go into the Temple of Light Hope, and they... Adora tries to activate the failsafe, but it turns out that Horde Prime is hacking the planet at the same time. Oh noes! And is getting past first one programming, except that Adora manages to undo the hack and turn off the Heart of Etheria program and returns the magic to everyone. And then she walks up to Horde Prime and just channels her magic into him, and Horde Prime's spirit is destroyed instantly, and Hordak is freed. Which is a good thing. For some reason.
Talk about easy redemption.
Okay, yeah, like... Hordak...
I mean, at least Marmista lampshaded it. She's like, are we okay with this? And then it's just like... Anyway, show's over.
Like, okay, they even state outright that he had his own identity outside of Horde Prime, so all of that empire building and the horrible shit he pulled, that was on him.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean... You can't really punish the rest of the clones because they've known nothing else, but Horde Prime was definitely doing this of his own initiative. He should definitely get prison time.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh yeah, Catra declared that she loves Adora. And
yeah, we skipped over the most impactful part of the whole show. It was a big deal. It was like really sweet. It was one of I hadn't really shipped them at all. I don't typically think of these things, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Okay, I could see it. That works.
I still don't, honestly.
Well, I'll give you the trick to it is though, because I read an interview afterwards in which the creator said she had always been shipping them, but didn't want to hint at it too much because there wasn't a guarantee that the executives would let her pay off. So the whole time it had to be like, hey, they're like best friends that grew up together. With a very mild hint, maybe this is romantic.
Oh, no. I mean, like, I could definitely see where they were being shipped together and why they would consider it romantic. I just didn't think that they should be together.
Because Catra tried to blow up the universe.
Because Catra tried to blow up the universe, yes.
Yeah.
Plus all the other stuff that she's deliberately done that pretty much severed any hope of reconciliation with Adora, including working to kill her new friends, working to destroy all the free peoples of Etheria, working to destroy everything, outright insulting Adora, outright fighting her and trying to kill her because she was in her way, being a torturous bully, let's see, exiling Entrapta to Beast Island. Look, if we had a romantic connection and you had exiled one of my friends to literal hell,
way to start a relationship.
No, you after she ran out of strikes for getting into a romantic relationship a long time ago, and I'm not just going based on what I think. There was remember that death glare she pulled. That was pretty much the no from. That should have been the end of that relationship permanently. Yeah. That's what I think. Just because it doesn't matter if Catra loves her. Any love should have died the moments that glare happened. That was a sign that the bridge, you have burnt the last bridge. The last rope has been cut, and you can see the rope bridge plummeting into the abyss below, where there are gators and sharp, pointy rocks.
Yeah.
Lava gators, because it's lava down there. Like, okay, again, I get where they're coming from. I don't agree. Because in the end, what they have is a history of shared pain.
I mean...
And a history of hurting each other. Like and that does not seem...
It's not a good way to do anything.
That's not healthy.
No, it's not. They had a good history towards each other back in, like, early childhood. But, you know, that's been a while. Yeah, now, the follow-up I want to think about, though, is... Why, then, does it feel so much more natural for Zuko to turn good in Avatar? Because he was working for the enemy and part of an evil empire and all this shit. And I kind of want to, like, watch the show again now and be like, what did they do? Maybe because Iroh helped, like, provide us with a ray of insight into Zuko could be good, you know?
I think maybe it had something to do with the fact that Zuko wasn't an active antagonist for a good portion of the show. He was an active antagonist up until the pirates blew up his ship. But after that, he was on the run from the Fire Nation for a good chunk of that. Yeah, he showed up at the North Pole, but he was easily defeated. And Iroh was like his constant companion and whispering, "You must be a good person," in his ear the whole
Which
time.
made it feel more plausible that he actually would turn good. Yeah.
Plus,
I was a big part of that.
Yeah, okay. So basically, we need an Iroh for Catra.
That could have been fun. Huh. Yeah, and I'm also trying to think, do we know of an example of a show where they built up this sort of idea the villain might get redeemed, and then it turns out, no, really, the ground is too scorched. You know, I'm sorry you had a change of heart and all, but we're not doing this. Has anyone really done that?
Jeez, I kind of want it to be done that way, but like...
I feel like that could have been done, but wasn't done between Jakar and Londo. At the end of the Long Night of Londo Mollari, could have been like, that's nice you feel guilty. I'm still really flipping upset at all the millions of people who died. You know? But yeah, no, someone should do that story. Someone should do no, seriously, you just have to maybe make new friends, former evildoer, but I can't do this anymore. I've had too much pain, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be a good story to explore.
We've hurt each other too much.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like the relationship between Catra and Adora was. Two people who have hurt each other too much for it to ever work. And while Catra might feel like she loves Adora, I don't know why Adora reciprocates that when...
And while we're at it, talk about Scorpia. And, you know, she was an absolute jerk to Scorpia forever and ever. She does apologize right at the end. And Scorpia, yeah, is a hugger, and it would be the kind to, like, forgive her quickly. But you could see that as contradicting the previous character development of Scorpia realizing, like, wait a minute, I need to see you for who you are. And, you know, there should be a longer time spent in redemption, perhaps.
Okay, if season 5 was broken into 2 seasons... It would allow us more time to get used to the idea of Catra as a good guy.
Yeah.
Give more opportunities for people to give Catra shit. More opportunities for Catra to slowly start to realize all of her problems. Give more time to make Horde Prime
let her do more.
Unique.
Yeah, Horde Prime unique. Because you were saying earlier about how his minions shoot people with lasers just like Horde Axe minions. It's sort of like, kind of the Zed putties from Power Rangers.
Yeah.
They're the exact same. You just kick them in a different part of the body. Yeah. You told me earlier, too, that the original Horde Prime was a freaking Eldritch Abomination.
Yeah, he was a giant cloud who interacted with the outside world by screaming in the voice of a legion and with a giant robot claw.
That is cool, and you would definitely need a couple more seasons to be like, how do we upgrade to that power level so we can deal with that?
Now, I mean, there were some cool seeds, like Hordak realizing that his love/friendship for Entrapta prevented him from allowing Entrapta to die by virtue of he stands up to Horde Prime and throws him off a cliff that is
cool.
Inside. I mean, that would have been cooler if Horde Prime hadn't immediately taken over Hordak's body and been like, oh, hi, this is my new body now.
Yeah.
Like, literally the instant he hit the ground.
Yeah, he's been doing this for a while. He's had experience. Yeah, I'm thinking, too, if Catra had been more... Like, if you could plausibly argue that Catra was more confused about the Horde's intentions this whole time, right? And needs to face the reality that she's been on the wrong side. Like, essentially what She-Ra did in the first 2 episodes, but extended much further. Mm-hmm. Then it could be like, oh, okay, you were, fairly decent person and honestly believed all the propaganda about princesses or something. I don't know. Had some other reasons for doing what she did. Yeah, we're on the same themes we had Steven Universe about the easy redemption thing.
Okay, a better way to put it would be like her realizing that all her scheming and her planning and her plotting didn't get her anything other than horrible torture and abuse.
Well, yes, but it shouldn't just be a sense of, oh, I've hurt myself. The redemption has to be, oh, I've hurt other people. I've been a member of the enemy army and doing bad shit. She did have a heroic act, obviously, when she saved Glimmer. And helped them, likewise, on their escape, and helped them get Migo, and so they gave her a few episodes to do good things and be on our team. But there's a lot of people she's hurt, and has hurt Adora specifically. Yeah, it's tricky. We need more time, at least. Give it that. Still thought it was heartwarming when they kissed, even though it makes not as much sense as it really should.
It was okay. It was okay when they kissed. Not spectacular, but but it was whatever. And now at the end of the series, the main characters are going to go off into space and find the magic or whatever.
Yeah, they have a small note that maybe there'll be a sequel series of some kind. We don't really know. We could bring magic back to the universe. Apparently magic was all over the universe before, then it went away.
Yeah, isn't there the Force or something? Or
I don't know. Also, all those other planets have been liberated. Planets that we never saw. That was the other thing I was going to say way back ago. Is Orb Prime wants to use the Heart of Etheria to blow up his enemies. I do like the bit of, okay, that's why he doesn't just outright murder She-Ra. I like where the villain has, some political reason, some planning reason, while they couldn't kill Aang at first sight. No, he just be reborn. It messes with our long-term plan, Anyway, B, though, I wasn't clear what enemies he wanted to kill. No one else seemed to be opposing him.
Yeah, he was pretty much ruling everyone. And in fact, here's another thing. When he says, when his clones report that everyone is rebelling, at that point, he has the mind control chips. Why is this still a problem?
Yeah, does he have a limited supply of those?
Yeah, you have mind control chips. Why do you have any problems with anyone ever?
Yeah. And then, too, Mara rebelled against the first ones. Because, the first ones were evil? In the sense that I guess the idea is they're going to sacrifice this innocent planet to, kill off Horde Prime?
Or some other enemy they were fighting.
Were they fighting some other enemy? Horde Prime's got 1,000 other versions of
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was confusing. And Horde Prime made a big note of how, I must know her, but I do not remember fighting the first one. Fighting this enemy among the first ones. Because he implied that he fought the first ones, but it wasn't made clear. Was it Mara he was fighting? Was the Heart of Etheria program meant to be the thing that was to be used against Horde Prime? Also, by the way, I really think that the Heart of Etheria program sucks. Because, the guidance program, bare minimum, Light Hope, was we must activate the Heart of Etheria. Even though it's been 1,000 years since it was supposedly turned on for the first time. And it's entirely possible that everyone it was going to be used against is now dead. and has been dead longer than their grandchildren's grandchildren's.
It might have that much revenge against Horde Prime that they're just like, fuck it. If you wake up 1,000 years from now, kill him anyway.
Yeah, but like, okay, so bare minimum, Light Hope had no evidence that Horde Prime was still around. Light Hope had no proof, so she's just gonna randomly fire it at anything that was once at one point the enemy of the first ones. So she was basically going, okay, my blindfold's on, I got my 50 cal machine gun, I'm gonna go nuts.
Guess.
So, I mean, seriously, Guilty Spark was better about this, and he was insane. But, like, he was like, oh, we don't have to activate the Halo, because there's no flood infestation at the moment. The monitors only were really like, okay, our Reclaimer's here, but we need to activate it because the flood have gotten loose. Like, when they were on the Ark and there was no flood anywhere, he wasn't like, oh, we need to find a new Ark to activate the Halos, by the way. He was able to tell, hey, the enemy's not here. Maybe we shouldn't activate the Doomsday weapon.
I don't know, I was thinking about if they had a Doomsday weapon that was going to kill Horde Prime, potentially, had they done that, they would have saved billions of people.
Yeah.
Unless the first ones themselves are just as bad as Horde Prime was. It's possible, I guess. Wasn't made clear. Okay, so some bits of the world building didn't entirely add up. Oh well.
Yeah, and also what happened to Adora's people? Because she was stolen by Light Hope. So that must mean that there's some descendants of the first ones left. So,
I don't know. Did they all die or something?
I don't know. Where the heck are they? Also, how did Hordak get to Despondos in the first place? He says a portal opened up, sucked him in, and then he found himself in, he was in Etheria.
Was he, like, on the edge of Despondos when it came into being and it just kind of sucked him in?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
So, like, how did Horde Prime get there? And where are the rest of the first ones? And
well, I know how Horde Prime gets there. He's a spaceship. You mean Hordak?
Yeah. Okay.
Also, they had another clone they called Wrong Hordak for a while. That confused me because I assumed that was Hordak.
Wrong Hordak is the best character.
He is a fun character.
Oh my god. He's a character that they accidentally fry his connection to the hive mind, and so he starts, questioning everything. Like, the first thing he does is he gets up and he's, like, straddling Bo because he was throttling him a second ago and goes, I can't hear Horde Prime. And then he starts ugly crying and suddenly everyone who is watching this scene feels really awkward about this. It's like, oh, now I feel bad about this guy.
No.
He's like, you can tell even Bo and Entrapta are like, oh shit, we broke. Oh no, now we gotta take him with us.
They do. Yeah.
Although the hive mind kind of sucks because, you can do stuff and Horde Prime won't immediately know about it, which kind of seems like that's kind of the big benefit of the hive mind. Like, if you do stuff to a Borg, all the Borg know about it.
Yeah, but at least he can, like, switch the inputs, essentially, whenever he wants to. That's better than regular communication.
Yeah, so it's a good show. It has some flaws.
Yeah.
But
She-Ra!
But it was a fun adventure, and I'm kind of glad I saw it.
Okay, guess that's about it.
Yep, I guess it's about it. I'm Sith King.
I'm Silence.
Signing off.